Okay, welcome back, everyone, to... I still don't have a name for the pod. None of you have commented on it. I think I'm going to go with this, that, in the group chat, but we'll see. Welcome back. This episode will come out tonight or tomorrow, so either tomorrow or the next day are the Oscars, which is always exciting. So I had one of Lauren and I's best friends, who is a movie nut. I said, do you want to come on? So I have with me Aimee to talk Oscars. Aimee, how are you?
Good.
Good. Aimee also is an experienced podcaster. She had her own pod for years. Years?
Like
Year?
2, maybe?
2?
Not even.
Were you and a cousin?
Me, my cousin, and my aunt.
Oh, I didn't know there were 3. Yeah. Broke down old classics.
Yeah.
So
1969 and below.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool.
That was the rule.
Anyway, so yes, experienced podcaster, knows her stuff. I sent her an agenda for this, which, aren't you guys proud of me? I made an agenda. And then she was like, here's some stuff to watch to prep. And I was like, great. So we're prepped. We're ready to talk. Yeah, let's jump in. So let's talk this year first. I do want to talk Oscars generally, because I have so many opinions on them, and the stuff you sent me today was fascinating. But let's talk Oscars. Before we get into that, well, no. Of the movies that are in the Oscars, what have you seen? What did you like? This, for me at least, was not a good year. I saw Conclave, and I loved Conclave. I saw Wicked, obviously, and thought it was great. I saw A Real Pain. Oh,
that's one I didn't see.
That's
but
really
it looked good.
It's very good.
It looked like I would like it.
And honest to goodness, that is about it as far as Oscar noms. It just was not... The movies that made it to the Oscars and the movies that I saw didn't really overlap.
Yeah, of the Best Picture nominees, I saw Conclave, Dune.
Oh, of course, yes.
And Wicked.
Okay, yeah.
So it was a bad year for me.
Yeah.
But like you said, honestly, the others... Honora is maybe the type of movie I would see, except for some of the... what I would perceive as... there would probably be sexual stuff in it that I didn't want to see. A Complete Unknown, I am sorry, I'm uncultured and I don't really care about Bob Dylan. And if I don't care about him, why would I watch his biopic?
Yeah. We did watch it, in part just because we still had our subscription to AMC, and we're like, we need to go see something. This looks good. I mean, Lauren she doesn't like Bob Dylan. She likes Bob Dylan's songs.
Okay.
So if she listens to Bob Dylan, it's a cover. But anyway, so she does like him. So we went and saw it, and it's also very good.
Okay.
But yeah, Brutalist seemed too long and sad.
It's like, I'm sure that is a great movie.
Yeah.
I am sure that it was acted very well and directed well. Honestly, the 3-hour runtime isn't necessarily what gets me. It's just like, I look at it and I know exactly what I'm going to get.
Yeah.
And I don't really think I want to put myself through it.
Yeah, I agree. And Nora, I'm with you. I might have seen that, but it did seem too sexual for my tastes. Amelia Perez, I've toyed with seeing. It doesn't appeal to me, but I want to see it to judge for myself if it's worthy of 13 nominations.
I love the discourse around it. That is almost maybe more interesting than the movie probably is itself. But with Amelia Perez, I saw a reviewer who I usually consider quite on the side of, I hate movies nowadays, and I hate anything that's trying to be political or whatever. And he was like, this is a good movie. Not to say that he thought it was a good movie, but he respected that it was different and that it was weird and it was out there and it was trying new things. And he was like, at least it wasn't the same old, same old. And I guess that's probably what I would take out of it.
Yeah.
The subject matter itself doesn't really interest me.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that gets me, I think I might be more willing to watch it if it wasn't a musical. I think the idea of a drug lord kingpin who gets a transgender surgery or whatever, it comes out as transgender. Sorry, that's a better way to say that. is like a fascinating story in and of itself. And then you had the musical on top of that, and I was like, I don't know. So I've like thought about watching it, but every time I'm like, no, there's something I want to watch more right now. So.
And then I heard the music, and I was like,
yeah, no, it didn't.
I don't know about this.
It didn't seem particularly catchy.
Although I said that, and then suddenly that song, there was the one song, and it was in my head a couple days later. So I was like, well, maybe there's something to this.
The rhinoplasty.
Yeah.
I'm Still Here.
I had no idea what it was until it was nominated.
Yeah,
I haven't looked
is that
into
Brazilian?
It. Yeah.
Nickel Boys. I think that one I might see later. Hadn't heard about it honestly until the Oscars.
I read a book by the same author.
Okay.
Who wrote the book Nickel Boys, but I have not.
Okay, have not
not seen it.
And then The Substance.
I heard a lot about it.
Yeah.
Also, something I actually do want to see it, but it has so much body horror in it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I could handle it. I'm not usually I haven't seen enough body horror to know.
Yeah. Yeah, we're not really a scary movie household, so that's just probably not one we'll see. And then animated. We did see The Wild Robot finally.
Yeah, it was good.
And it's good. And then Inside Out 2 we obviously saw. Mm-hmm. But that is about it. Then there's Flow, which I've heard is silent. Or like...
Not...
there's no dialogue.
No, yeah. That's cool.
Which is cool. Memoirs of a Snail and Wallace and Gromit.
I should have seen Wallace and Gromit. I am a fan.
Yeah. I feel like that one came out straight to streaming too, right?
Probably.
I don't even know. Great. So, overall, do you think... right, obviously, we didn't watch a lot of the movies that made it to the Oscars. Mm-hmm. Do you think that's because of the Oscars or because of the strike? The two strikes, I should say. We're probably still recovering from the pandemic. Is it just a bad year for movies after like one of the best year for movies ever? Or did the Oscars make some weird choices?
At first I was like, it's the it's always the Oscars problem, like the way that they are, based on the stuff I sent you, the way that they are set up.
Right.
Especially now.
Right.
To not really nominate films that are popular.
Yeah.
But then I looked at this year, and it really wasn't that great. No. I'm looking at a list. I don't know. I only got up to October, but... I
mean, honestly, as far as blockbusters, what I remember is like Dune, obviously.
Yeah, Dune.
Joker, which was a huge flop.
Twisters.
And like purposefully. Twisters was fantastic, but I get why it's not nominated.
I get why it's not nominated. Trying to think of any other movies that would be on that type of list.
Yeah.
And
and Gladiator 2.
I didn't see Challengers. I don't really want to see Challengers. Yeah. I'm surprised Challengers wasn't on more things.
I am too. That was like at the time. I think that's another issue with like the current Oscars, right? Like that one just came out too early because at the time it was like, oh, this is going to be a Best Picture nom. This is like that POV of the tennis ball.
Yeah.
Everyone was like, that's one of the coolest things in film ever, right? Like, it was so... in the soundtrack, everyone was like, that made the film. So I'm surprised it didn't get anything.
No.
Yeah.
I think that was a bit of a shocker. And especially, like... I'm not, maybe I'll bring this up later. Maybe I'll say it now. I feel like... if in a perfect world, the Oscars, and especially the Best Picture winner... should be... of something that is trying to pinpoint timelessness.
Yeah.
What film from last year is going to be remembered for all the right reasons?
I had a similar thought because as we were in researching this and and watching the stuff you sent me, it feels like the Oscars kind of goes in and out of that. Mm-hmm. But I did say to Lauren today, I was like, it feels like the awards ceremony should be 10 years after the movies come out. Right? So that you can really... because, you look at some of the... Oppenheimer will be talked about for a while, I think.
I have a list.
Oh.
All Best Picture winners.
Yes, okay. Everything Everywhere All at Once, I think just because it was so indie and weird and won.
It deserved it.
And there was controversy.
I was glad that it won.
I was too.
Because it was a technically good movie.
Yeah.
Outside of what the Academy usually recognizes being comedy, sci-fi.
Yeah.
And mostly non-white cast.
Yes.
And it won, and I was like, good for you.
Yeah. No, and it had like a groundswell of it like they did campaign, but it did just seem like everyone just loved it, right? Mm-hmm. It didn't seem like it was like a huge I think Kiwi Kwan did do like he was apparently a great campaigner, so like I don't want to say it wasn't from the campaign, but he didn't win Best Actor, so it clearly wasn't.
He won Best Supporting Actor that year.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, he did. Anyway, Coda, probably not going to be remembered. No Man Land, I'm sorry, was horrible. That shouldn't have won. Made me so mad at the time. Still makes me mad. Yeah. Parasite, memorable. But then you get back, Green Book. Who's talking about Green Book? Mm-hmm. Shape of Water, Moonlight, Spotlight, that one I'm mad about. So that was the year that I sent you. Uh-huh. And that when you look at it, that was 2016. Yeah.
When you look back at it, you can see like what should have won. Mm-hmm. I mean, for me, Mad Max, Fury Road. Okay. What should have been a top contender. Yeah. It was not at the time. But as far as like movies that have had impact and love and love through the years, that movie, there were a couple others. I didn't see The Revenant, maybe, but what were some of the others that year?
What year are we?
It was 2016.
Yeah, okay. So Bridge of Spies, Brooklyn, Mad Max, Fury Road, Room, Spotlight, The Big Short, The Martian, and The Revenant.
Most all good movies, more memorable than Spotlight. I have seen Spotlight. It is a fine movie. Sure. It does not stand the test of time as far as like cinema goes.
Well, Mad Max Fury Road, it is not my movie, but for a lot of people like you, just love it.
Even I would have picked Brooklyn over Spotlight. I do love Brooklyn.
Love Brooklyn.
Do I think it's like Best Picture material? Not necessarily, but I would pick it over Spotlight.
Yeah, Saoirse did not. She wasn't even. No, she was nominated. She did not win, right?
No.
Anyway, I adore her, so I think she should have won. It was Emma Stone. No, sorry, it was Brie Larson.
It was Brie Larson. Yes. For Room.
Who looks like had a great performance. Anyway, so yes, they do have an issue of picking something that just isn't.
Which they didn't. I'm gonna. So there was a great run from like through the 80s.
Yes.
So 19 up to Titanic. Mm-hmm. So you had Titanic, and before that, English Patient. That year, maybe English Patient deserved it. Then you have Braveheart, Forrest Gump, Schindler's List, Unforgiven, Silence of the Lambs, Dances with Wolves. Like those are movies that are movies with a capital M, and we remember them. They're part of the cultural consciousness.
Absolutely.
And the Academy got it right.
Absolutely. So what? Well, okay. We got a little off topic.
Sorry.
No. You're good. This is what I do want to talk about. So it does seem like it was a bad year for movies, and it does seem the Academy does. So, but we do tend to blame the Academy because they do have a history of nominating terrible movies. Yes. Well, and then back onto the whole thing. Right, in 2010, was it, that they're like, now we're going to nominate 10 movies for Best Picture. Rather than, so all you're doing is like, they get a nomination, but they're not actually going to win.
They're not actual contenders.
Yeah, which is just...
Like when Top Gun Maverick, I think that should have won. What year was that?
Was that 22?
That was Coda's year, I think. Oh, no, actually, it was Everything Everywhere All at Once's year. So I'm okay that it didn't. Yeah. But, like, it should have been a contender.
For sure.
And it wasn't.
For sure. Which I think is Tom Cruise bias.
Yeah. I think Hollywood hates him.
Tom Cruise, which is stupid.
But, like, not just as it was a popular movie, but it was good.
It was.
And it had great technical achievements.
Well, and how many sequels can you say are better than the original, right?
Here's a tangent. How many sequels do you think have won Best Picture?
Oh, I don't know. So the only one I can think of off the top of my head is Godfather 2, The Return of the King. We'll call it a sequel because it's a trilogy. Those are the only two I can think of.
Those are the only two I spotted.
Okay.
So, but I was proud of the Academy awarded sequels.
Yeah.
There was one year I think Creed was nominated.
Okay. Which is
technically a sequel,
sort of a sequel,
but it didn't win.
Yeah. But yeah, they're not big on sequels. Okay, who do you have to win? Let's start with screenplay, but both screenplays.
Okay.
So we have adapted screenplay. The nominees are...
Those would be definitely ones that would be easier for me to guess if I had seen them.
Yeah. Adapted screenplay, A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Amelia Perez, Nickel Boys, and Sing Sing.
Okay, I want to say up front that I think that Amelia Perez was on the ticket to win a lot until...
Yes, the controversy.
Until the controversy. Yes. I think that So I'm going to actually discount Amelia Perez for almost everything except maybe Best Song and Best Supporting Actress. Best Supporting,
I agree.
I think Conclave has a good chance.
That's my guess too.
Because sometimes the Academy is like, well, we're not going to give Conclave Best Picture.
Right.
But we'll give it something.
Oh, speaking of, I see so many reports on Twitter of anonymous interviews. This is from Variety, their Twitter account, right? Anonymous interviews with voters, and they're like, well, I didn't want to vote for Timothy because he's young, he'll have a chance. I'm like, that is not what this is about. I saw another one where it's like, I couldn't get through the first Dune, so I didn't even watch Dune 2.
Oh my god.
I know.
These are the people voting.
People voting.
I saw one on Instagram that said Academy voters, several of them were like, I didn't vote for Ralph Fiennes.
Yes.
Because I thought he already won one. And he hadn't.
He is not.
So these Academy voters, we think of them as these paragons of the industry who know their stuff. Yeah. No, they're literally Meatloaf. Yeah. is in the Academy. Is in the Academy.
Yeah.
And they don't, and a lot of them are really old.
Yeah.
So this is, and that also reflects some of the nominations.
Yeah.
Which I guess we can get into later as to why. But okay, so back to writing. Conclave, and I hope it wins, but I wouldn't be surprised if Nickel Boys or Sing Sing wins.
Okay. And then original screenplay nominees are Nora, The Brutalist, A Real Pain, September 5, and The Substance. I hope A Real Pain wins. Honestly, if you can. It's on some streaming service. I think it's on Prime before Sunday. It's really good. Okay. Yeah.
A Real Pain or Anora?
Yeah.
I think Anora is going to take more than anybody suspects.
Yes. I think Anora is actually the favorite. I want A Real Pain to win. Then let's go to supporting. Okay,
I already said Zoe Saldana.
Yes, I agree there, and I actually think what's his face Culkin is going to take
supporting actor. Yeah. Okay,
yeah, I do.
I'm sorry, Ariana. I don't think you have,
which is too bad.
You did great.
I think and it's in part because of the expectation.
That's true.
Ariana Grande blew me away. I did not think that she could be funny. I knew Cynthia Erivo was going to be talented and a great singer and yada yada. And she was great. I did not expect Ariana Grande to be so good. And so then when she was, I was like, wow.
I didn't expect the kind of pathos that she brought to the role. And if you hear interviews with her afterwards about all the thought she put into it, I was like, oh girl, you know what you were doing.
She you did it on purpose. Persona of being kind of airheady, and she clearly is more thoughtful than she lets on. Yeah.
Isabella Rossellini, I think the only reason she would win is if the Academy is yes, we want to give an old established person their due.
Yeah, for sure. I think actress in a leading role, it's basically, I think it would have been Carla Sofia Gascon. For Amelia Perez, I think it's going to be Demi Moore.
Mikey Madsen is really getting up there in people's predictions.
Okay.
But then, and that's a race between, do we give it to the up and comer or do we give it to somebody who's never been quite recognized?
Yeah. Before? Well, and that's it, right. It's do we give it to someone who actually had the best performance or do we give it to someone who was kind of ignored for a long time? And I just tend to think that a lot of people will vote for Demi because they think she
from the previews, it looked like she did great.
Yeah.
It looked like she did. But that also might be more of like Ariana, expectation versus...
Exactly.
Like, you wouldn't have expected Demi Moore to be so good at it, but she was.
Actor in a supporting role, I said Kieran. The other nominees are Yura Borisov, Edward Norton, and Guy Pearce and Jeremy Strong.
That Edward Norton wishes.
Oh, man. He was great.
He was? Okay.
Yeah, he genuinely was really good. I mean, I don't know that he played a role. He was pretty Edward Norton-y, but he was good.
Yeah, I think Kieran Culkin.
Yeah. And then in a leading role for actor, Adrian Brody, Timothée Chalamet, Coleman Domingo, Ralph Fiennes, and Sebastian Stan. I think like it is between Brody, Chalamet, and Fiennes.
Who won? Brody won the Golden Globe, didn't he?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah, and he just wasn't there.
Yeah. No, that's funny. Like, he might get it, and when people said that they thought that Ralph Fiennes had already gotten one, Adrian Brody has definitely already got one.
Yeah.
So, which is fine. People can win multiple times. I do not care.
Yeah. No, I don't either. And that's what frustrates me about these like things. They're like, oh, I want to give it to someone who, and I'm like, no. Just give it to who's the best.
I think on an aggregate scale, I'm okay with Timothy getting it because Dune 2 and this role in the same year.
Yeah.
Sure.
I almost feel, and I guess it's really common for people to get Oscars for playing a real person.
Oh yeah, it's Oscar bait for sure.
I hate that. I want you to create a character, you know?
Be somebody totally different.
That being said, after his speech at the SAGs, I want it to be Chalamet. I fell in love with him after that speech. For those of you who didn't watch, he said, I want to be one of the greats. I'm inspired by the greats. I know it's not necessarily cool to speak this way, but it's true. And then he listed, he's like, I'm inspired by Marlon Brando and someone else as well as like Michael Jordan. And he's just
Viola
like...
Davis.
Yeah.
He called out Viola
Davis was the other one,
People were like, yay.
So anyway, it was just... I'm very much on his page. I think it's going to go to Brody.
I would like, because I saw the performance and I thought it was great, Ralph Fiennes.
Yeah, I agree.
I thought he did really
I thought he was fantastic. Cool. Director. Up for director are the... I'm just going to name the movies. Anora, The Brutalist, A Complete Unknown, Amelia Perez, and The Substance. I think it's going to go to Anora.
Anora, yeah. And Sean Baker, and I've only been tracking Sean Baker because Red Letter Media, the people I sent to them, I sent the videos to you, they have been liking his movies, and like nobody has been paying attention to Sean Baker except like Red Letter Media.
Interesting.
And so I've seen the progress. Sean Baker did The Florida Project. I don't know if you ever saw that movie.
No.
Very interesting.
Okay.
Not something like, it's not uplifting or anything, but it is like watching. So it's about white trash people who live in Orlando outside of Disney World.
Okay.
And they like live in the motel. Willem Dafoe runs the motel.
Okay.
And it's like watching a documentary, but it's not.
Okay.
There's actors. Anyway, it's Florida Project is a trip. But so this is like Sean Baker, the Academy recognizing a weird director who is having a moment.
Yeah. With a very popular film.
A very popular film. I expect it to be this way.
Yeah, I agree. And then Best Picture, I have so many feelings here. I think it's going to be Anora. I think it's between Anora and Conclave. I think it's going to be Anora. I wish between those two it was Conclave. In my heart of hearts, I just wish it was Dune.
In my heart of hearts, I think that, 10 years from now, we will remember this year, 2024, as the year Wicked came out.
Oh, yeah.
And so, like, for that, like, historical purposes, I would want Wicked to win.
That makes sense.
But I think that Conclave deserves a lot, and Dune 2 also.
Yeah.
Dune 2, great acting. Great. Yeah. Denis Villeneuve is amazing.
So I just finished reading Dune, and I don't know which I like better. They're both great. But Denis, what he did in taking it from book to movie is incredible.
Especially, like, I don't know if you ever saw David Lynch's
No.
in 1984 version.
Yeah.
Which is, like, it's good.
Yeah.
It's classic. But the way that Denis was able to translate the mysticism
Yes.
and the world building in such a way in his Dune movies is unparalleled.
No,
except for Lord of the Rings is better, but
for sure. Like the choices he made in changing things, I thought, oh yes, of course, that makes sense, right? There was nothing I was like, why did he take that out, or why did he leave that in? Anyway, so that's a little tangent, but I think Dune is a masterpiece. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think it's going to be Nora. I hope it's Conclave, and.
I mean, it would be great if Wicked won.
Yeah.
I mean, like, Wicked, when I got out of that, I was like, that is a movie, and I haven't felt that for a while, where you just, like, feel like, whoa, moved.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that was so cinematic. It felt like watching an old movie.
Yeah.
Like when you get out of The Sound of Music or something like that.
Well, and it was so practical, right? Mm-hmm. Which is just not done anymore. Mm-hmm. Like, you watch, like, even films... I saw a clip like Ghostbusters where they're filming in front of a generic building in New York. It's actually just a green screen.
Oh my gosh.
And you're like, why?
Why was that necessary?
Yeah, just get a building or just go to there's a little like studio lot with fake buildings. Go, like, why is it anyway?
We can tell the difference.
Yeah, it's in the performance and in the way it looks. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, so Oscars this year. That's what we think. I'm not stoked. I don't think I'll watch it. I
think I'm too busy on Sunday
to
watch it. And, like, the only reason that I might is if they perform any Wicked songs, but they probably won't. I think I've heard they won't.
Yeah.
I don't think they're performing any of those songs.
I don't think they're performing any songs.
I heard, which is very strange.
I agree.
I think it might be a first. At
least in recent history, yeah.
It might be because there's a couple of Emilia Perez songs and nobody likes them, and the Academy is embarrassed to have nominated them, maybe. But we'll see.
Yeah.
I was shocked that Wicked was nominated for Best Original Score because I was like, where?
Yeah.
Where was the original score?
Agreed.
I don't know where that came from. I think they just wanted
to recognize... Like, I don't know how the nominations are made, but I think they just wanted to recognize that it's a musical. I don't know.
But, like, you have to have original... I mean, I guess they did have original music. The Oz's Ballroom had some original stuff.
Right.
So they technically qualified.
Yeah.
I just was not expecting that.
No, it was weird. All right, so to the Oscars generally. We've talked about this a little bit, but I don't know. I think... what you sent me elucidated a lot of this, right? Like, why? Well, I guess what I'm not clear on is quite the nominating process. Do you know? Like, why is it that even the nominees are so out of touch with what people see?
I could be speaking out of... I could be totally wrong. I'm not going to say that phrase.
Yeah.
But, so you have the Academy, and I bet there's a board.
Yeah.
And the board probably votes on the nominations.
Yeah.
And then the Academy votes as a whole on the winners.
Yes. And that process is very frustrating because, growing up, and even if you're just like a casual moviegoer, you're like, oh, it's just a bunch of experts voting on... And no, the studios spend millions of dollars.
Yeah. It is capitalism.
Yes. It is truly just... It's basically, unless a movie is... No, that's not true. Because Saving Private Ryan got beat.
That was one year it should have won.
Yes.
I think I had Shakespeare in Love, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the year Shakespeare in Love won.
There's just no reason Shakespeare in Love should have beaten Saving Private Ryan, except for they had a way better campaign. Yeah. So even if you have an amazing movie, the campaign usually wins out. Go ahead.
With the process, I forgot, I believe... For your consideration, I think you, like, as a producer, have to put forward your movie.
Oh, okay.
Especially the foreign films. I know for sure each country has to pick a film in their country that they want the Academy to review.
Yes, which is a little bit unfortunate.
Yeah, especially
because sometimes they pick the wrong movie.
If you have a country that comes with great movies.
Yeah. Yeah, that you can only pick one. It is definitely getting, I think, honestly, since Parasite, the Academy generally, and they're just making efforts to diversify the Academy.
Yeah.
The Academy is getting more foreign film. Like, the past 3 or 4 years, there's been a foreign film a international film in the Best Picture race. And this year there would have been 2, if not for racism. Anyway, it's off. Do you think it's... Okay, so what do you think is worse? Do you think the picks are worse, or do you think the show is worse? Meaning, because I think a lot of people have stopped watching because of the show.
Because of the show. Or they think that.
Yeah.
When really... I think that it's mostly the picks because people are like, over the years, they've lost that goodwill or trust with it of being like, movies I know and seen are going to be on here. And when you've seen it, you care about it more and you want it to win. But if you haven't seen anything, you feel out of the conversation, you're not going to watch it.
No.
And you're not going to watch... the circus that it is. Yes. And you endure the circus because you liked the content going into it.
There's no reason you watch a 3.5-hour broadcast, right? Like, that's why this year I'm just not going to win. I'm actually more interested in who wins, some of the technical awards, the best editing, the best cinematography, stuff like that, than I am Best Picture because, anyway, it was just also a bad year for movies, right? But that's kind of generally how it is. I often go to bed before Best Picture's announced because it's just not going to be a good movie. Or it's set in stone. Yeah.
And the Academy tries to make the Oscars fun. It's like almost watching the Oscars is a sport in and of itself. Yeah, for sure. Watching how Hollywood is trying to be relevant again. Yes. I don't know. Yeah. What? Especially they're not going to perform any songs. What kind of fun are they going to have?
I know they are running clips again because they stopped doing that for 2 or 3 years at least.
And I was like, why? I didn't see the movie. At least show me the clip.
I know. Show me why this person's nominated. Right? Show me the white person having a monologue so that I can know why they're getting Best Actor. Right? Yeah. Because that is what they like. The other thing I want to talk about is obviously part of what happened in the past 20 years is Marvel.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, part of what happened is mass market movies also got more mass markety.
I think it was a confluence of issues. There's like video essays on this and stuff, but superhero movies and franchises in general.
Yes.
Inflating the cinemas.
Yes.
And then streaming is the other half of that.
Sure.
Because now you have blockbuster movies that are making more than they've ever made before, but you don't have a balance on the other side.
Yeah.
And streaming took away the balance because now if you're a small movie, Matt Damon said it really well once, that if you make a small movie, you can't make that money back in the theater. You would have to make it back in video releases, and they don't really make money off of video releases anymore. You'd make a good take from the cinema, but then you would count on the royalties and everything from your video sales, and things would have long legs.
Yeah.
But now you have to make money at the box office, or you're not gonna make it, and then it just goes straight to streaming. And anyway, it's a whole monetary thing, and that's why you're seeing mostly big budget movies in the theaters. Right. And then we've lost rom-coms, we've lost comedies, we've lost a lot of those smaller genre films, right? Because they don't make money the way that they used to.
And that makes total sense because obviously, like, I've noticed this, but I'm not nearly as versed as you in why this is happening. But I did. You definitely notice that there's just not the variety in the theaters, and there's also I just feel like there's a lack of mid-brow.
Yeah.
Right? There is lowbrow, superhero, Fast and Furious, right? Which is superhero movies, stuff like that. And then there's highbrow, which is Oscar bait, right?
Yeah.
And then there's just not much in the middle.
Well, also, as I was writing up the list of movies of 2024,
yeah,
I was like, you know what's kind of got lost in here is I think that children's movies have suffered and teenage movies have suffered. Like, how many teenager movies are in here? I wrote down, there was, I forget which one. There was a movie I was like, oh, that's like for teenagers. That's like the only one.
Yeah.
I mean, Twisters. There's like family movies.
Right.
But not something that teens go to see.
Well, and it kind of makes sense because it's just way easier. Like, the show is going to get watched more, a kid show, if it's a kid movie, if it's really straight to streaming, right?
Yeah.
And that has made things so easy for parents. However, it feels like long term that's bad business because if people don't go to the theater, realize that movies are way better in the theater when they're kids, they're not going to go as adults, right? They
don't have that nostalgia.
Yeah.
Or experience. I don't think that cinemas are good just because I have nostalgia for them. I do think that they're like actually a good place to go see the movie for the first time.
Absolutely. I like this week I went and saw Captain America basically just because it was still in IMAX and I was like, yeah, I kind of want to see that. I better go see it before.
Did you regret your decision?
No, I didn't realize it was getting so much hate. But it's getting a lot of hate. I didn't think it was that bad. I thought it was way better than Multiverse of Madness. I didn't even see the recent Ant-Man movie.
You hated Eternals.
Oh my gosh, right? It's way better than Eternals. But it's still I think we've talked about this. Whatever the main guy's name, Anthony
Mackie.
Anthony Mackie. I don't think he can carry a movie.
I mean, I think he's a fine guy. Yeah. I just don't think he has and he's in a movie with Harrison Ford.
Yes.
And he's just not going to be Harrison Ford.
Harrison Ford is in it. What's his face? The bad guy from
Tim Roth, was he in it? No, I'm thinking of the Edward Norton Hulk movie.
Giancarlo Esposito.
Oh, him.
He's in it. Anthony Mackie's sidekick is Danny Ramirez, who I think has way more riz than Anthony Mackie. Just like, I was like, I would watch a movie where he was the lead. Anyway, I honestly think Anthony Mackie is the bigger issue than the writing, in my opinion. Though some of the writing was really bad. Anyway, so that's just to say, I think the theater experience is totally, totally worth it.
I remembered the teenage movie from last year, Uglies.
Oh, sure.
So, I mean, granted, maybe there was a moment in the 2000s where you had The Hunger Games and Twilight, where you had these young adult novels coming to the screen like never before.
Right.
And maybe never again, apparently, because The Uglies was apparently pretty awful.
Yeah.
And not well received.
I heard that, because I loved those books, and then didn't watch it because I heard it was so bad.
Well, it's easy to imagine in your mind that these people are ugly, but then you put somebody like Joey King on screen and say, this girl's so ugly. And you're like, is she?
Yeah, anything else? I have on here, what should the Oscars change? I don't, it's so hard to say. Meaning, I think they should nominate more popular movies, but I don't know what that actually looks like.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, there should probably be a cutoff. I don't know.
This movie has to earn so much money. No, I don't think that that's fair either. Because I do think, they originally started nominating movies that were less well known because they wanted them to get some recognition exposure. And to get when you get nominated, then you go back into the theater and you get more money than they otherwise would have. So it was trying to spread the love to the smaller movies, but it ended up backfiring to now where only pretty much exclusively small movies are considered.
Yeah. Well, in small movies, in that video, right, they have like a specific strategy of do like a very limited release before the nominations, and then do a theater-wide release because you get free publicity by being nominated.
Yeah.
So you don't have to advertise, which is anyway. And so then you can spend your money on schmoozing the voters.
What did you think of the big bad wolf, Harvey Weinstein, being the villain wheel?
Okay, so
like even more of a villain
first of all,
than you would have thought.
I had two thoughts to that. One is nobody in Hollywood can ever give a speech on you guys should recycle ever again, remembering how bad that was and how many people were complicit in that. Secondly, it's incredible how much he and his brother, shaped what is the current system of running. Miramax was the original A24.
Yeah.
A small firm that just was Oscar bait, and they knew how to schmooze people. They looked up where people went on vacation and ran screenings. They mailed stuff to them. They ran screenings in the retirement home where the old white men vote, right? I hate that I'm saying old white men. I hate that. But it's relatively true.
For the Academy, it's
true.
Pretty relevant. Old white men who've been in the industry forever.
For a long time.
Like that tells you, if you've not been if you don't know anything about the Academy, that's why the Academy Awards, they nominate and they have movies win that are about Hollywood.
Right. Yes. Well, that's so true too, right? Because you see a movie, like you knew, and it didn't actually win, though it probably should have, La La Land.
Yeah, La La
right?
Land.
You knew that was going to be Oscar bait. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, right? Like you see these films come out, and you're like, oh, okay, well, we know what they're doing.
Yeah.
The other thing I was going to say is, nope, I can't remember.
But that was interesting that you say Miramax, A24 is the new Miramax.
Oh,
and
totally.
I was like, oh, I see that now.
Absolutely.
Like I didn't connect those dots, but it is.
Oh,
I mean, I don't know if they're doing the same behind-the-scenes stuff that Harvey Weinstein was doing.
I think they're pretty good campaigners.
But they're really good campaigners, and they are very good at their brand.
Yes.
But I also will give it to A24. They're pretty good at picking projects, unless only their good projects make it to public recognition.
Well,
maybe they have a lot of bad movies.
I think that's part of it. I do think, one, they're pretty low budget, so that there's little risk involved. And then two, I also just think they do produce quite a few movies, and you just don't hear about some of them. I guess I don't know for sure. I don't know why I have that suspicion, but I do think I'm right there.
They probably have bad eggs.
Yeah. Anyway.
But they are, at the moment, known for their taste.
Yes, for sure.
In film.
For sure. Anyway, it was fascinating that he was just... His legacy, while terrible, will live on. Who knows for how long.
It is kind of sad. I think she said it in the movie. It's sad that a lot of the movies are really good, and we have a lot of some of my top movies are because Harvey Weinstein produced them.
Yeah,
and campaigned for them.
I can't remember. I can't remember what movie one time, and it's a movie that I love. And all of a sudden, it's in the opening credits. It says produced by Harvey Weinstein. You're like, oh no!
I can't remember if Weinstein had a hand in Lord of the Rings or not, or if it was either they passed it up. They were the last people to pass it up, or they did some.
I don't think it was Miramax, right?
New Line Cinema did it,
but
I think Miramax might have been involved in distribution or something.
Okay.
Or they passed up on it. I hope they passed
up on it.
But they are in a lot of things.
Yeah. Okay. What? Any other thoughts on Oscars?
Not so much.
Okay.
It does, looking at the list of Best Picture winners through the years.
Yeah.
First of all, I did worse than I thought I would have. I highlighted all the movies I have seen.
Oh, sure.
And I did worse than I thought I would. There's a lot on here I should have seen that is on my perennial quote list that I will never get to.
Yeah.
But it goes through spurts. They've never always got it right.
They
even back in the 40s.
They do have fits and spurts, right? Honestly, I was coming when I invited you on. I was like, oh, we're going to talk about how bad the Oscars are. But the past 5-ish years, they've been not in line with consumers, but closer, right? Even the nominees have been, not just the winners, have been closer.
And I'll say, like, even so, Coda won 2021. Maybe didn't deserve Best Picture, but like, it made me feel good. I was like, oh, yeah, this is great that this community, this thing is getting recognition.
Yeah,
like I was fine with it.
Yeah, well, and that was a weird year too for movies. So
wasn't that the year of the slap? I'm pretty sure that was the same year that the slap happened.
No, that was
because they were like recovering from it.
No, that was Oh no! It
happened
you
in
are right.
It happened in 2022.
Yeah, and the slap was 2022. Yeah, you're right. Oh,
the
really?
movie was from 2021, but the Oscars was 2022.
It's crazy.
That feels like it was more recent.
It does. I thought the slap was just 2 years ago, but it was 3. Yeah, yeah. Honestly, that was probably the weakest year in recent memory. Last year was obviously very good and just like one of the best years in cinema in a long time.
Wow.
The year before was decent. Avatar, Elvis, Everything Everywhere All at Once.
One thing to mention, the host this year is Conan O'Brien. I think he'd be the only reason I would watch it.
Oh, sure.
I don't think he's hosted the Oscars before.
I don't think so.
Which he's fun.
Yeah.
He's funny.
In my opinion, at this point, the host should always either be Nikki Glaser or Ricky Gervais.
I don't think I saw Nikki Glaser's hosting of...
If you can find a highlight reel...
I heard
she's the first host in a long time where I've been like, all through the night, too. What a great job. Because Carmichael hosted a couple years ago the Globes, and I thought his monologue was pretty good. But then throughout the night, it just felt like he got drunker and drunker and fell off. Nikki Glaser was just
John
on point all night.
Hosted something, and I thought he did pretty good.
Did he do He did the Globes last year, right?
Maybe.
Was it him last year, and 2 years ago it was Carmichael? I think that might be.
But I thought, he fits the MC role.
Totally. I think
he's got
he
the
did
voice
fine.
And he's got the thing.
Yeah.
But Conan,
and he's like stoked, right? Like he's all over social media. He had a picture riding the red carpet as they're rolling it out. I think he'll be good.
Do you think the Oscars should matter as much as they do?
No, I don't. I don't know if this was one of the points I wanted to make that I forgot, but no, I don't. I really don't. In part because what I really think is there should be kind of different awards for different things, right? And the Oscars clearly want to be the artiest award. I think the Globes should reject that and we're going to be the most popular. And obviously you still want to reward good. You don't just want to give like top box office, right? And they win everything. But like, some kind of mix of pop culture and good performances, right? And good directing. But no, because... Right, the point that one of those videos you sent me made is, it is just an
industry event.
Yes, my industry has awards. They're called Pollies. It's not ever broadcast. Nobody cares.
And they said that we treat it like it's an election.
Yeah,
and
that it's this like great independent body of people who know, and it's not.
It's not.
It's not. It's a bunch of... Oh, this is the point I wanted to make. It feels like... And this is going to come off probably a little wrong and strong. I think that the Academy has made great strides and is doing a good thing in trying to diversify the Academy. However, Amelia Perez... Diversity cannot be the goal, and that's what feels like what Amelia Perez was.
Yeah,
I watched so many progressive, movie reviewers, and they were all like, "What?"
Nothing brought America together like this movie.
No, and that's no hate on the story or anything. It's just it was not worth 13. It was not nearly as good as Oppenheimer, and got the same number of nominations.
Or Titanic, The Return of the King. It's just going to be weird that it's going to be up there in this pantheon of movies.
Then we'll probably get 2 awards.
Yeah.
If that.
Yeah,
Zoe Saldana and maybe something.
Song.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Because
the other contenders didn't look that good.
No.
But.
Yeah. What do you think? Do you think it should be as big as it is?
No. The Globes should probably be bigger.
I agree.
They are the movie critics.
Yes.
Are the ones who are doing the Golden Globes.
I agree. And I hate movie critics, but it makes sense for like people who do this for a living rather than like people giving themselves a pat on the back, right? Yeah. Anyway.
Also, it's hard, and Mike and Jay made this point that these categories, maybe they're not the best.
Yeah.
Because you put, even within the Best Picture category,
yeah,
you're putting some movies up against each other that aren't really comparable. They're both maybe really great, but not comparable in terms of, if you put A Real Pain, which wasn't nominated for Best Picture, up next to Dune 2, and say which movie was better, it's like, what do you...
It's such a weird... yeah.
And they made the point, Mike and Jay did, where in the animated film category, like, you have so many different types of animated films.
Yeah.
And how do you really compare them?
Also, I kind of hate the animated film category because now, if you're nominated, like, they don't nominate animated films for Best Picture.
It's rare. I think Up was nominated for both.
Was it? Wow.
Because I was looking at some nominations.
I don't think
of Best Picture
with what's his face film from last year was that one.
What one last year?
The best animated the
Miyazaki film.
Miyazaki, that's
the Boy and the Heron.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I don't think it was. It happens occasionally. Yeah. But the first animated film nominated for Best Picture was Beauty and the Beast in 1991, and there wasn't a category for animated film, and it didn't get created until 10 years later.
And I'm glad there's a category for animators. Honestly, they just probably deserve their own award show.
Yeah, I mean, they probably do have their own industry award show,
and they should. But Spider-Verse just should have been in the running for Best Picture. I'm sorry, it should have. And Boy and the Heron last year probably should have been.
Those are two movies. They were both really great animated movies.
Right.
I wouldn't have really cared which one won.
Yeah.
But also they're quite different.
Yeah. Right. Anyway,
different technicalities too. Like the hand-drawn animation aspect of The Boy and the Heron is a technical achievement in this day and age for sure.
Yes.
But then Spider-Verse probably is too on the computer animation side.
Yeah, absolutely. And excuse me, Spider-Verse won Best Animated Picture, which it should have, because it changed the industry, right? Mm-hmm. And so hopefully it was rewarded for that.
All this to say, yes. I say that in this moment, the Oscars shouldn't matter.
Yeah,
but
they
kind of, I do, in my mind, they also kind of do.
Yeah, I do think it's I think it's good that there's something to shoot for. I just hate that this is the prestigious award, because I just don't know that there should be a prestigious award, right? I think SAG should have its reason to be prestigious, and the Globe should have but they're all seen as they're a good award, but it's not an Oscar. So,
which somehow it's gotten that clout.
Yeah.
Maybe they've been around longer than the others. I don't know.
That's definitely probably part of it. I think the other part is it's got a larger voting body, right?
Maybe.
I think so. Anyway, and the Hollywood Foreign Press was made fun of for years, probably by the Oscars, so that's part of it too. Anyway, it's a whole thing. I don't, especially after watching all the videos you sent me, I'll post those in the show notes if you're interested in what we did our research on. They're very good.
I mean, Mike and Jay are not for everybody. I will say that.
I might not post that one. That one's not nearly as relevant. That's just a discussion of the 2016 Oscars. But the other two were really cool, and they're video essays.
Yeah. And I would recommend Lindsay Ellis for sure. She's a great video essayist. Yeah. Be Kind Rewind, the other girl who talked about Harvey Weinstein. Yeah. Her whole channel is essentially talking about the Oscars, mostly about women in the Oscars.
That's what she said, yeah.
And she does this woman won Best Actress this year, and this was all the drama surrounding it, and this is
cool.
Why, or
well, no, she honestly, I don't know why some of these YouTubers aren't hired by magazines, right? She does better reporting than I've seen on some of this stuff, right?
The pull quotes that she gets, her sources are amazing.
And just the story anyway, really, really good. So I'll post those if you're interested in learning more about both of those were kind of about like the campaigns behind the Oscars. One specifically about Harvey Weinstein and his legacy, and the other just about, why is it that there's Oscar bait movies, and it goes into that, and that it does stink that there's Oscar bait movies. But
speaking of Oscar bait movies, I just got an Instagram reel of a movie that I now want to see. Came out in like 2006 called For Your Consideration, and it is a satire film directed by Christopher Guest, who is the six-fingered man in Princess Bride. And he did This Is Spinal Tap or whatever. And it's a movie about making a movie that is Oscar bait movie. And
Is that the one that's in one of the things you sent me where...
No, I only found out about it today.
Oh, okay. Well, because maybe this was in a video, right? Where one of the winners from a few years earlier had been in some sort of satire, and she's like, I'm going to do a movie about the Holocaust because Holocaust winners...
Kate Winslet did it in Entourage.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Which Ricky Gervais is in For Your Consideration as one of the producers.
Okay.
Anyway, it looks funny. Catherine O'Hara is in it, which makes me want to see it more.
Yeah.
But it looks fun.
One last thing, because this is going to be one of the longest podcasts we've ever done. No, it's all good.
I thought it's only been like an hour.
It has, but most of them are 30 to 45 minutes. It's all good. I'm super happy with it. Part of the reason that we have Oscar bait movies is because that's kind of what the incentives are, right? Is the Academy likes a dialogue heavy,
historical, about Hollywood,
right, long artsy film, and so that's what they're going for. You talked about it should be. I guess you've already answered this, right? You think it should be what is the most impactful film of that year and will be remembered the longest.
Yeah. I mean, with some that also has technical and artistic achievement within it. There's movies that we'll remember. We will remember Madam Web from 2024, but not for the right reasons.
Right.
But for stuff. Like I said, I think the Year Spotlight one is a great example of probably shouldn't have.
Yeah.
There were a lot of other movies that have stood the test of time and are also artistic and technical achievements.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I tend to agree. I'm definitely just in the camp of I think Best Picture should also be popular. Right? It should be an achievement. It should have great performances. It should also have been seen by, some percentage of the population.
I'm okay with the actor, director, all those other categories being mostly about that craft.
Sure. But picture should have
a bit more of did it have... I mean, I think that it's supposed to be, did it have everything? Yeah. But, did it also have the mass appeal?
Yeah, did people actually like it?
Did it speak to people?
Did more... Because here's the thing. I mean... When you start watching movies for long enough, and you just see this with, even I listen to the Ringer podcast, and those people have been reviewing, and the Ringer is supposed to be lowbrow to midbrow, right? But they've been watching movies long enough that they're reviewers now, and right, they care about, whatever reviewers care about, and I don't know, I just think it shouldn't appeal to critics, it should appeal to audiences.
Yeah.
Okay, let's signing off. What is the best movie you've seen, or best movie you've seen for the first time recently?
I don't. Oh gosh. I mean, I have a list of movies that came out last year, but I don't but movies that I saw last year that I didn't. That's hard.
It doesn't have to be a new movie either. Just one that you've seen for the first time.
That one I've seen for the first time. There probably was one. But because I don't have it in front of me.
Yeah.
Looking at my watch list, I'd have to look through my Amazon. I wish that it was easier to access your history for the streaming services of what you've watched. But last year, my favorite movie was probably, and I didn't see that many of them, Twisters was great.
Oh my gosh.
Made me feel amazing.
Yes.
Wicked was also really good.
Yeah.
Made me cry.
Those are probably the last two, like, I guess I should say the only two, like, this is cinema movies last year.
Yeah. Even Furiosa was a disappointment.
Was it?
Yeah.
See, and I didn't watch it. The Mad Max universe doesn't grab me. Yeah. Oh, no, I take that back. Argyle. I know people didn't like it. Was fun.
No,
I adored Argyle.
I
adored it.
Everyone I've talked to have been like, I just didn't get it. And I was like, you were watching it with me and DJ.
I agree. I think, we obviously, I think you have to go into Argyle not, like, just loving it for what it is. And I don't even say loving it for what it is. You can't compare it to anything else. You just have to watch it in the moment. It's so good. Anyway. Those are the three, like, this is cinema movies last year. Okay.
Yeah. What about you? What was your... You saw Some Like It Hot for the first time last year.
Some Like It Hot.
The cross-dressing gangsters movie.
Oh, gosh. Incredible film. If we're going to talk about just movies I saw in the last year for the first time, that was probably my favorite. Aside from... Actually, no. My real favorite from the past year was Baby Driver. I had not seen that before. Okay. And
it's good.
Yeah, like really I recently made on Letterboxd like a list of movies that are similar to
That's what
Baby
I need.
Driver.
I don't know why I'm so late on the Letterboxd train.
I got on it years ago and then like never did it. And then Emily started doing it and I was like, okay.
This is a great way to keep track of my movies.
And it's been really fun. Yeah. It does, I will say, my only quibble is while I'm watching a movie, I'm thinking, what am I going to rate this? Which is just not a fun way to watch movies.
I have a Goodreads, and it acts as like my record of what I've read, and I will be reading a book and go, oh, that's going in the review.
Yeah, so it is like, it's an unfortunate thing. But it is, then I just go back. I do need to rate not Winter Soldier, whatever it's called.
Captain America.
But yeah, and I do have a list of all the movies I've watched recently, so that's nice. And then what are you reading or watching right now?
Watching mostly TV shows. Mm-hmm. Severance.
Okay.
And School Spirits. I don't know if you've seen School Spirits.
I've seen ads for it. Yeah.
Great. I watched it. I watched season 1.
Okay.
When it came out, and now season 2 it's fun.
Yeah.
I like supernatural stuff. And
sure.
It goes with that. I got into Invincible a few weeks ago, and I'm all caught up now, and new episodes come out on Thursdays, and I like it because I like superhero stuff. It's an animated superhero show on Prime.
Yes, okay.
It's like it hits that superhero button, but with characters that I don't know anything about, and so I like that because I'm a little tired of like Marvel and DC and seeing them around. And then I'm going to watch the new season of 1923. But I haven't yet.
Oh, okay.
Because it came out on Sunday.
I recently started watching Ghosts.
Oh, I love Ghosts.
CBS.
I love both the British. The UK version is great, and I thought that nothing could top it. And it took a while for the American version to grow on me.
Okay. I do like the American version. The American version is much more like, they're like, well, American audience wouldn't buy this. Yeah. So it's more realistic, right? Which I like appreciate. But the UK version, that first season had me laughing out loud. Like it's very funny. Both
eventually,
are on Paramount.
Eventually the American season does too.
Okay.
The Isaac guy really makes me crack up.
I like that the husband actor. So I'm glad that he got like a big role on a thing. So it's been fun to watch. What were you talking about before?
Severance?
Yes. Most watched. It surpassed...
It surpassed Ted Lasso. I didn't think anything would.
Yeah. Oh, and this is what I want to ask you. Are you excited about the new Fantastic Four?
Okay, I haven't watched the trailer, but I have seen some of the ads, and I'm like,
Yeah.
They're going for an old vibe.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if you're going to reinvent the superhero genre, go that direction.
That's how I feel.
That would be fun.
That's the one that gives me hope. Meaning, Captain America, I saw... It's the first Marvel movie. I didn't watch one last year, or maybe the year before, right? Mm-hmm. But I was like, I've had a long enough break. Let's get back into this, and it was fine. That one, I'm like, this could. It's because part of what's holding these new Marvel movies back is they're trying to tie it back into the old stuff and reassemble the Avengers, whatever. But this one, just like completely blank slate. I think it could be good.
I hope it's new.
Yeah.
It's like, so I liked WandaVision up until the very end.
Yeah.
And I think that aspect of it, what WandaVision captured of like nostalgia and old stuff, but also putting superhero stuff in it. I hope that Fantastic Four is a bit like that.
Yeah. Great. Well, thanks for being here. I think we'll have you back because this was very fun, and I want to talk movies more often. So
this was really fun. I have to tell you, I was so honored when you asked me. I was like, because I've been listening to the podcast for a while, and I'm like, they've never asked me to be a guest.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, yeah.
And I'm all caught up on The Bachelor, but you're not. There's an LDS girl
on this
season, and she's gonna be. She might win.
Really?
She's made it to hometowns.
Wow!
So he's going to Utah.
Wow!
Look at that.
We are. We're gonna watch Survivor this season. I just totally forgot to turn it on Wednesday, so we got to get caught up. But that is what we're watching. Anyway.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks for listening. Yes. Bye.
Do you have an outro?
No, not anymore.